Hi, my name's Tom Shue, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a photo collage. This is something I picked up over at NAP from Pete Townsend. He's one of the PhotoShop guys. Anyways, let's just get started. We'll start with a new document. We're going to create a 16 by 20. If you don't even know how to do this, go to the inches, make a 16 by 20 inch print, 20 wide, 16 tall, and 300 DPI for print, and we'll be doing in 16-bit. Okay, so first thing we'll do is we'll start off and we'll create a new layer. In this first layer, so we can see what's going on, we're going to fill this with gray. There's several ways you can fill something. First, you can go by and click Edit, Fill, or you can use a shortcut that's Shift Backspace on Windows or Shift Delete on a Mac. You come to your fill and you click on 50% gray, and now you have a gray background so you can see what's going on. If your rulers are not visible, it's Command R or Control R to get those to come up, or you hit View and you click on Rulers. So we're going to come over here, we're going to drag a guide over about a ½ inch in. If you hold the Shift key on this little guide, it will like stop at increments. So we're going to stop at a ½ inch. We'll grab our marquee selection tool and we'll drag out. Now when you hover it and you get the red marching ants like that, you know you're directly on the center of your guide. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll make sure we're on this layer above, and we're going to hit the fill key and that Shift Backspace on Windows or Shift Delete on a Mac. Instead of 50% gray, we're going to choose white. So we click OK and it fills it. So we can deselect that selection by hitting Control D or Command D. We'll go back to our Move tool and drag off that guide that we placed there. So we're going to duplicate these 3 layers because I'm picturing a 4-celled collage. Now you can make as many as you want, and I'll show you how to distribute these across. Instead of going in and trying to make another guide in a line, let me show you how to make quick work with this. So if you do Control J or Command J, it'll duplicate those layers. We're going to do that twice and make 3 of them. That top one, we'll grab our Move tool. Holding the Shift key will keep this thing from sliding all over the place. We'll drag it over to the other side. Okay. Once we get it in place, just release it. Now this second one here, we could try to put a guide in the middle and move it over. Let's grab our Move tool. It's actually over here. See, we could try to get it in the middle, but it's kind of like a hit or miss. So we're going to select all 3 of them, and we need to go ahead and select everything with the marquee tool. To select everything, you can hit Control A or Command A, that is select all, and then with the Move tool selected, you can come over here. This side is align and this side is distribute. Distribute horizontal and vertical. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to distribute all those 3 pieces evenly. Control D to deselect. Now we want to put these in a group so we can keep our file nice and neat. So we're going to hold down the Shift key and click on this file, and that creates a group. Now we're going to do the same thing as we did on the vertical bars, but we'll do it as a horizontal. We're going to hold our Shift key, deselect. We're going to drag out a box. If you need a guide, come over here, drag your guide at a ½ inch, hold down the Shift key and it will give you your guide. We'll drag out our box so we get those red marching ants. We know we're on, and we're going to fill that. Again, that Shift Backspace on Windows or Shift Delete on a Mac in white. Saying, hey, we don't have anything to put it on. Let's create a new layer. Same thing, Shift Backspace or Shift Delete to fill that in white. Deselect it. That's Command D. With the Move tool, you can drag that guide out. Now do the same thing as before. Control J or Command J. Create 3 layers. With the Move tool, take one of those while you're holding the Shift key down and drag it to the bottom. Now select all 3, and instead of distributing horizontal, we're going to distribute on the vertical. And now we have 4 cells to add images to. So we're going to do the same thing as with this, is we're going to hold the Shift key and hit that folder icon and create a group. We're going to select both groups, and we're going to duplicate it, and that's Control J. Okay, we'll just hide those first two. The reason why I do that is so I can save them, because I can add more cells, like add another bar and another bar, and then distribute them to make more cells. Okay, so with these two selected, you can do a shortcut, which is Control E or Command E to merge them. So we'll do that, Control E, and that merges it, and now you see that we've got that one box. Now, if we undo that, you can merge those also by right-clicking and say Merge Layers. So now that you've got those together, we want to load our images that we want to use. So if we go into Lightroom, this is the shoot I did with my good buddy Scott Bourne. I'm going to select 4 images, and I'm going to right-click, and I'll say Edit In, and it drops just below there. Let me see if I can't move this interface up for us so you can see what's happening. If you right-click, after you've selected all the images that you want, you say Edit In and Load as Layers in Photoshop. So we'll hide Lightroom. It's going to load up some images inside of Photoshop into a new document. See, it's bringing them in as layers. It's load layers. Once we get all the images loaded, we're going to bring them over into the other document. I'll show you how to space them out. Sometimes it takes a little bit when you're working with large files. Okay, so there we have them. We're going to select them all. So we're just going to hold down the Shift key that selects them all. And then keep the Shift key held down. Okay, and just drag these images over until you're on top of this other icon. It's going to highlight it and start it, but don't let go. Drag back down into the middle of the document and let go of the Shift key, and it'll place all the images in the new document. You'll notice that they're on a layer above our frame that we made. So we'll grab our frame and we'll put it on the top. Let's just deselect that one there. Grab it all the way and put it at the top. It's just not cooperating today. Okay, now that we've got them all on the top, we'll just deselect all 4 of them. Actually, we'll just leave one selected so we can see what we're working with. So there's the first image. We're going to do a free transform. That's Control T or Command T on this image. And we'll decide which cell we want it on. We'll hold down the Shift key and size it the way we want it to fit in our cell. Now, if it doesn't fit exactly the way you want, you can just slide it over. And say, let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, we're going to hit Enter. Alright, and then we'll turn on the thumbnail of the next layer. And we'll do the same thing. Control T or Command T to free transform. I'll move this guy down here. And say maybe I want it to look something like that. Now you might say to yourself, this image is intruding with the other image. Well, you can jockey the layers, or you can just go in with your marquee selection tool and just grab right where that frame is and hit the delete key. You can do the same thing with the top of the image if you like. Now this is only if you can't hide it. Hit the delete key. Okay? I'm not worried about this over here because I just wanted to show you that technique that you could do. So we're going to come to the next layer, turn it on. Same thing, Control T or Command T to free transform. We're going to make this thing fill a box, and I think we'll put this one over here. We'll fill it in. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. Something like that. I like that. Maybe I'll resize it just for the sake of this tutorial. Bring it up just a hair. That looks good right there. And we'll grab our last image. Same thing, Control T. We want to fit this inside the box. Something like that. Enter. And I'll just drag this below that other layer right there. Well, then we have a problem where we're covering up. So we'll do the same thing again as we did before. Grab the marquee tool on that layer. And just hit the delete key. Control D to deselect. Now we've got this nice collage. However, it's kind of like this frame is just a plain Jane frame and it looks like a white border. You can add some depth to it. So we'll come up here and we'll select it and we'll double click it, and this will bring up our layer options or layer styles. And one way you can do it is with a stroke. And you can choose the size of your stroke right here. And I like to use this gradient, okay? And the shape burst works good. So let's zoom in, and you can see that now this corner's got a bevel on it, okay? And it's kind of like a gradient bevel. So it gives us some depth. So when you print that, might be a little bit too much as far as transparencies goes. Well, let's go ahead and pull those back up again. And with that stroke selected, we'll just grab our opacity and just drag it down. Okay, that's one way to do it. The way that Pete showed me to do it was to use a outer glow. And you put this in multiply, and you change the color to black. Okay, then you can choose your size and your spread. So we can drop this down a little bit in size. And then you take your opacity and you can drag it off. And that just finishes your frame and gives it some depth. So it looks kind of like a matte. When you get it printed, it kind of looks like a matte board. If you don't like the color of the frame, you can also add a layer style. You can actually put in different textures and things. Let me show you that real quick. First of all, if you don't like the color, you can change it to a color overlay. So you can get a green or blue. Or you could do a pattern overlay. Maybe we wanted to load a pattern up. Maybe carbon fiber. We'll append it, which is add to it. And we can change the size of that by scale. Let's make it look more like carbon fiber. Something like that. Okay? I canceled it out. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for sticking with me today. This little tutorial was a little longer than usual. I appreciate you guys taking time to come by. So until next time, we'll see you soon.